HRG, we have a special video today. We're going to be going over a couple of highlights from key horses in our recent races, but most importantly, to start this video off, just as a message to someone in the community, if you're listening, Basic Blue, man, I saw you left a comment on one of my recent videos, and honestly, I was really happy to see one of your comments. I've been thinking a lot over, gosh, however long it's been. I think it's been a year or so since I felt like me and you kind of had our differences, and honestly, man, I don't want that to be the case with you or anybody really in the community. I'm starting to try to be better about just appreciating things more, because I'm looking at what's happening in the world, and I'm just like, tomorrow isn't really guaranteed for anybody, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, and I don't want to have that type of negative dynamic with somebody, especially if we have things in common. Like, we all love Gallop Racer. Blue, you love Gallop Racer. You're way better at the game than me, and I think you're probably one of the better players, best players in the community, and I've always said that, man. And I hated that just our differences of how we played the game got in the way of our friendship. Like, we have been friends well before either of our channels really, I guess, started to take off, right? Like, you were showing me support very early, I was showing you support very early, man. So I just want to say I'm sorry for anything that's been said in regards to just how, you know, our kind of friendship ended, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to feel like I'm holding anything against anyone. If I was at any point, or if I felt like slighted, I understand sometimes you just don't see eye to eye with people on things, and I'm learning the best thing to do is just to respect their opinion and just say, hey, this is where I'm at. You know, if we're going to see it differently, then, you know, it is what it is, and just, you know, remind yourself not to let things get to a certain point. And I just feel like I kind of failed in not de-escalating just kind of what happened with us to the best of my ability, and I want to apologize that, man. I know you have a newborn. Congratulations, obviously, on that, and you know, I feel bad just for just, you know, just kind of attacking you in a way, just responding to kind of how I felt you were attacking me. I just think both of what we were doing was just kind of not the best idea in the moment, and we probably needed to have much better efficient communication, obviously offline, not on YouTube, not in our discords, you know. And I know we attempted to do that. You tried, I tried, and I just felt like we were always kind of missing each other, and that's why it seemed like things just kind of blew up the way they did. So I'm sure you've gone through some things as well. You know, fatherhood is a rough thing, and I'm sure you're learning things about yourself and just, you know, whatever you're dealing with. So I just wanted to apologize, man, and say that I hope you're doing all right, and that your family's good, and yeah, I hope you're all right. And I was happy to see you leave your comment, man. I really was, and I'm like, I don't want to be at odds with Blue, man. It feels weird now, you know. It feels weird for me, even with people that I don't agree with, maybe on certain aspects of whatever it is. Like, it doesn't even have to be YouTube or gaming or whatever. I'm trying to be better about that as I get older. I just think it's too easy to stay in that negative mindset, and I can't do it anymore. You know, it actually hurts me to do that. So just want to apologize for that. But with that being said, and again, hope you're all right, Blue, and hope to actually see you, you know, upload again whenever you get some free time. I did enjoy your live streams and your videos, even with all the things we've said about each other, but it happens, right? You know, that's life, and I'm just putting that out there. But we're going to get into this highlight edition here, like I said, a couple, and I'm looking forward to showing you guys these horses that we need to continue to pay attention to as they're on track, because we have to think about breeding in the next couple of years. We will be skipping, as I've mentioned several times, but it's going to be very important to kind of figure out who's going to be at the end of the line and who's going to be at the first part of the line, because we're going to have to be more selective with breeding as we go forward. We can't just breed every horse that we race with. So it is actually important to watch these horses to see how they're performing and see who you think would actually be a good horse to use for breeding long term, because you guys are going to get even more immersed into this series. You're going to have more involvement. You're going to have more ownership to these horses that we are mentioning, and I will do this through the website. I'll do this through videos and everything. That way you guys actually feel like you have some part of the management aspects of at least my playthrough here in this series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first highlight, and we'll be starting off with our 3-year-old colt, Precious Scene. Again, this week's Gallop Racer Colt Highlight Edition, the first of, I believe, 2 Colt highlights. We are 3-year-old Colt Precious Scene. You see his chart on the right. Dude is like absolutely stacked, man. And when I say stacked, like the important categories, I wish the heart rating was a little bit higher. I can manage 69 power. As long as the power rating isn't like terrible, I'm okay. See his abilities, instant response and delicate. And instant response is kind of hit or miss with me, but to be honest, this guy is so strong, I don't really need it. You see, we're up here in this grade 3 at Yosemite, and Precious Scene has really, I mean, he's had a fantastic year with us. He really hasn't shown any signs of slowing down because, again, he's only 3. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to hit his peak around 4, but you know, they consider him at his prime more or less right now. But he's that type of horse that I think you can clearly race to 5 years old, 6, so on and so forth. So Blues Breeze has the record here, and I think about using Precious Scene as a stud going forward. It's one of those things where we really have to identify the best compatible mare for him based off of his strengths and his weaknesses. Again, I just mentioned the heart rating is at 66. It's not terrible. I would like it to be above 70. You guys know that have watched me play this game for whenever you've been watching me. I am big on horses with really solid heart ratings and good power ratings, because to me, without those 2 things in this game, it's a struggle. And granted, stamina is also bad if you don't have a horse with good stamina, but I think if your horse has no heart, you're not going to win races, and if your horse has no power, you're going to struggle on most tracks in this game. So I really don't like that setup, and that's why I think it's just really important to obviously establish a baseline where those type of weak attributes don't actually interfere with what we can do with our horses. So as you can see, 4 furlongs left to go. Good thing with Precious Scene, I can pretty much run him at the back on cruise control, and he's not going to give me any problems. He has 3 grade 1s, he has a grade 2 and a grade 3, so 5 graded stakes wins for this guy. Trying to go for another grade 3 victory as we get him going here. As you can see, pushing at 2.8, 2.4 now. Continue to grind, and once we get into the stretch, Precious Scene takes off. The key with me when I'm riding with this guy is just to make sure to get him right in that sweet spot as we're rolling off the final turn. That momentum absolutely slingshots him in the stretch, as you can see. This is a grade 1 horse, no doubt, but the fact that he can still win graded stakes races, absolutely crushing the field by several lengths. And Precious Scene showing you why he's one of our best 3-year-old colts that we have racing currently. He's one of many. We have Green Crystal, we have Flying Home, we have Whispering Gold, we have Revenge, Cafe Bronco. All of these horses are really doing good. In fact, our 3-year-old class might be the strongest in regards to consistency. In fact, I'm looking at my spreadsheet now. The most grade 1 wins and greatest stakes races are coming from our 3-year-olds. I'm literally looking at it right now, and there are at least half a dozen grade 1 wins for most of our 3-year-olds compared to the 4 and even 5-year-olds. So let's pay attention to these 3-year-olds like Precious Senior. He gets that done, wins it 10k total points for the jockey ride. Really felt happy with that. And yeah, great grade 3 win as he continues on to dominate here with 3-year-old colt Precious Senior. And next up in the colt highlight, another one with another colt. It's our 4-year-old colt Lockwood. And in fact, we just recently highlighted him. He's been in a lot of grade 2s. I told you guys I was taking him on that path, and I've stuck to it. We're up here in the Port Town Stakes grade 2, 10 furlongs on the dirt in Yokohama. We are the favorite. Lockwood, I think, is probably one of the channel favorites at this point. We know how far his pedigree goes, and to be honest, I really just enjoy him as a horse. Beautiful 4-year-old that we have, and he's really pretty, solid as far as his stats are concerned when it comes to just a baseline. I mentioned baseline a lot because it's not about always having horses with insane stats, but the important categories for me: speed, stamina. I mentioned power. His power rating isn't good, and that is the one downside, but he does have a 77 heart rating. Bears doesn't affect us. The other abilities, stretch burst, and his auto abilities, those all kick in really nicely for us, and that puts Lockwood in a nice position to use. Keep in mind, he's 1 grade 1 away from becoming a mile champion. He has 8 grade 1 wins at, 5 grade 1 wins at 8 furlongs. He needs 1 more to obviously claim that title, and I'm trying to still get that for him. But at this point in the year, in the calendar for him, there are no additional races at 8 furlongs except for, I think, for the China Mile, and I'm not sure if I was able to get him into that race. May have already been booked with another horse that may have actually needed it for the GWS Sprint Championship. But anyways, Lockwood, really confident about what we'll be able to do with him for breeding. And also the fantastic thing about him, considering his pedigree, is he's a horse I'll be able to run for as long as I want. So there's really no rush, I think, to get him to the barn for any sort of breeding, duties. I think he's a horse that reminds me of Moon Trapper. If you guys obviously know how much much I love Moon Trapper. She was a horse that I tried at grade 1. She wasn't capable of that, but she would dominate and be extremely competitive at grade 2s and grade 3s. And I think Lockwood is a grade 1 caliber horse, but it has to be a very, I think, low level grade 1 race where the competition isn't going to be as high as it is for some of those international ones. I just think he's just a little bit behind in regards to what he can do in those races. But here in this grade 2, we are obviously under 3 furlongs now. We've pretty much had a smooth ride, smooth trip. I'm just waiting to see if horses get out of the way. And obviously you can see Lockwood doesn't give me any issues. In fact, he was bothered that we were going too slow. That's the only issue he'll give me, but he's really mild tempered. I can get him into clear air, right space, and you see as he attacks as we're driving, we're sitting in third, about to pass second, going to chase the leader with half a furlong. There's stretch burst kicking in, and Lockwood showing you again why I think he's such a unique and a special horse, because we can do this in grade 2s where, you know, he's down by what, half a furlong to maybe 2 lanes, and is absolutely able to kick into high gear, hit that stretch burst ability. That's going to be great to pass on. I think stretch burst is one of the most underrated abilities in this game, because it really gives you that extra push that you need when you're in races like that. And if you get into those races every now and then, stretch burst is almost a guaranteed win as long as you ride that thing straight and clear to the line. So Lockwood gets it done by half a length over Royal Chief, and Royal Chief is a good horse. That's not even a sleeper we're beating there. So that's just an example of what he can do. And again, I'm hoping to get him one more win at obviously 8 furlongs for him to become a mile champion. And that is going to be your highlight for another grade 2 for our boy, 4-year-old colt. We have arrived at our last highlight of the week here, featuring our 3-year-old colt Cafe Bronco, who is up here in a grade 1 for this Long Beach Derby. Now, Cafe Bronco, I think I had unrealistic expectations when I first started with him, and he's been doing well. He's a 3-year-old with 2 grade 1s at 7 furlongs, 9 furlongs, a grade 2, and 3 grade 3s. So he's had plenty of success at the greatest stakes level, and I think I initially anticipated that he may be kind of like an East Side Band type of horse, and I clearly don't think that's the case. I do think they're related at some point, whether it's half siblings or somewhere else down the line in their pedigree. But Cafe Bronco has done well, and again, he's another rock star in this 3-year-old class of horses that I've been talking about in today's video, that has been going strong. And again, despite I think my expectations for him, which were probably a bit too high in the beginning, he doesn't really give me too many issues and too many problems when I'm riding with him. He's a mild tempered guy. We sit at the front, as you can see here. He gets a 7 as we head into 5.5 furlongs left to go in this grade 1 Long Beach Derby. And when we look at Cafe Bronco, I'm still trying to identify and isolate what his strengths are and what he maximizes in regards to his distance. And I do think he's really a strong miler. Again, he's won a grade 1 at 7, he's won at 9. This one is also close to that same distance of 9, just a little over a mile. So 3 furlongs left to go. Cafe Bronco still sitting here comfortably, and again, this guy gives me no issues. So as soon as I get him into clear air, we can kind of just get right through, and I get him on the whip. Tough race. The 11 horse on the outside is going to take off on us. 1.5 furlongs left to go. But the great thing about this guy, Cafe Bronco, he has heart. He keeps himself in the game. Less than 1 furlong left to go. The 11 is still there. Cafe Bronco, he's in this fight. It's an absolute dog fight, a horse fight till the end. And even though he's gassed, he's fatigued, Cafe Bronco pushes on to win that grade 1 Long Beach Derby. Again, showing you that when you know what your horse is capable of running and what obviously best suits them, you can tap into that. And I expressed it, I think, earlier in this episode when I talk about the heart rating being so important for me and my horses, and you guys know that's really a staple of how I like to play Gallop Racer, or at least in games where heart ratings matter, because I feel like you have such a higher probability of losing races like that. We beat Ancient Melody, who wasn't even the favorite. We weren't even the favorite. I thought the bookies had us a little bit long-winded, expecting us only to finish 5th. Instead, we actually win the Long Beach Derby, and I believe that was his 2nd or 3rd grade 1 victory. I'll have to make sure to double check. I think that may have actually just been his 2nd one at the 9 furlongs I've mentioned throughout. But easy trip. We got a great start. We tucked into the rail, and we really didn't have to do anything for the rest of that race until we really had to fight and obviously earn our spot in the stretch. And Ancient Melody gave us a good fight, but it's the great thing about Cafe Bronco with his heart rating. We didn't have any abilities tapped in. He just found that extra wind when Ancient Melody had gassed out, and that's a great run from Ancient Melody, the horse that ended up finishing in second. That horse was supposed to finish 8th in that race, and again, we beat them just by a length. In the end, as you can see, we're kind of just trailing off here as we approach more than halfway distance, or less than halfway distance remaining. Still tucked to the rail. You guys know how I feel about getting that inside leverage, that inside trip, saving as much ground as possible. I talk about it every blue moon. I used to run track and field, and I'm sure most of you, obviously with the Olympics happening this summer, may have been familiar with maybe some of the races if you tuned in, even if it was only for a little bit. Maybe you didn't tune in at all. But bottom line is there's a 4x400 meter relay race where you're running one time around the track. And I was always usually the second or the third leg in that relay, and keeping my leverage as close to the inside of the track as possible to save ground on that 400 meter run when you're running once around the track at full speed. It's a hard thing to do, but it's very important. You see, we did that with Cafe Bronco. He pushes away, and I think, did Ancient Melody stay in second place, or maybe I'm thinking about a different horse? No, that was Manual Park I'm referring to. That was the favorite that we actually beat. Cafe Bronco beats the favorite Manual Park, who finishes in 4th place. That's the 11. Ancient Melody was just the 6th horse that finished behind us that was supposed to come in 8th place. Wow, what an effort from Cafe Bronco, and it just goes to show you can never truly count your horses out. Make sure they have great heart ratings, because you're going to need it in moments like that. And with all that being said, that concludes the highlight of the week, the last highlight of the week for all of our colts. And that concludes this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below in regards to these colts, who you're looking forward to, who should we consider for breeding, and anything else you'd like to add in regards to this series and what we have discussed today. So appreciate you guys for love and support as always. Until next time though, HRG signing out. Hope you have a great fantastic day. I'll see you all later, and goodbye.